Hello, my friends. Today I'm speaking with the incredible Trina Gray. She has really been a force in the fitness industry for many years. She's a successful health club owner, a business mentor, a presenter. She's owned the Bay Athletic Club in Michigan, as well as other places in Michigan for over 15 years. And you can hear in this podcast, she just has so much experience, so much confidence as a leader. And that's a lot of what we talk about today. We talk a little bit about how she decides how to set boundaries in her life, what kind of things she says yes to, what kind of things she says no to, and how she thinks about that, which has actually been a reoccurring theme on this podcast this past year. I think COVID has maybe helped people want to get that right in their life a little bit more. And so Trina gives you some great actionable tips for how to set boundaries in your life. We also talk about how to own your decisions as a leader, to communicate with clarity. And she does a really great job of talking about how she balances both kind of vulnerability and confidence and how she communicates with her team and her clients as a leader. This talk is full of so many great action steps and takeaways. So get ready with a pen and paper or your notes app on your phone, because you're going to have a lot of things you want to write down. Enjoy this conversation. Let's get started. The Business for Unicorns podcast is for fitness business owners who want actionable strategies to grow their business, take amazing care of their clients, and build a life and business they truly love. I'm your host, Michael Keeler, co-founder of Mark Fisher Fitness, and through Business for Unicorns, I'm a coach and consultant to industry-leading fitness studios around the world. Let's get started. Well, hello, fitness business nerds. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm really excited to welcome to the stage Trina Gray. She's an overall fitness business badass. She's a health club owner, a business mentor, a presenter in Northern Michigan, and we've never had her on the podcast before, so I'm so excited to get the party started. Let's welcome Trina to the stage. What's up, Trina? Welcome.
Hi, Michael. So nice to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for just taking time to have this conversation. I've heard your name and known of you in the industry for so long, and Mark has mentioned your name so many times, and I'm just so excited we get a moment to kind of nerd out about the work you do, and I get this moment to ask you a lot of questions. So thank you for being so generous with your time.
Absolutely. I've loved working with Mark over the years in many different capacities in the fitness industry, and I'm happy to serve your podcast listeners today.
Yay. Awesome. Well, I'm asking everyone this when we start the podcast, just because it's kind of the big elephant in our lives, which is, how have you and your family and your businesses just been navigating COVID over the last year? It's a big question, right?
It's a big question. And I guess the easiest way for me to answer it is to just look at where we are right now, right? So it's been a year since the world kind of hit pause, shut down. People were forced to change course really in a day's notice. And we've been on this holding pattern sometimes of waiting for things to reopen. So here's where we are. It's been a year. My kids are healthy. My kids are happy. My kids have figured out that life throws you curveballs, that one day you're in school and the next day you're not. And one day you're in sports and the next day you're not. And one day you're going back to school and the next day you're not. So things keep changing in their life. And it's been fun, challenging, and a learning experience as a mom to help kids navigate the space of the unknown. The unknown. I have my partner and I have 5 kids. So Aaron has 3 kids. They're 3, 7, and 10. And I have 2 kids. They're 15 and 17. And so you can imagine the different things that kids of those ages are wrestling with. Not seeing friends, everything being online, only being virtual, sports being canceled, sports being back on, wearing masks. All the things in their life have changed. And so it's been a challenge in a good way as a mom to have to rise to the occasion of helping kids navigate the unknown, find ways to be happy with different things in their life. So that's family. We're all healthy. On a day-to-day basis, we're all happy, even though there's moments in all days, right? And my businesses are open, right? My businesses are open. They look different, but they're open. And, my kids' lives and schedules look different, but they're happy and they're healthy. And so I really have been trying to mine the lessons from COVID, because what else can you do with it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I'm so glad to hear that everyone is well, everyone is safe, everyone's happy.
Right.
That's amazing. Just looking through the last year as you've had to navigate it in your business, I'm sure you haven't been open the whole time. I'm sure there's been all kinds of ups and downs. What have you learned about yourself and the business over this last year?
Ah, I've learned, Michael, that I own the business and the business doesn't own me.
Mm,
And I've learned that I can serve the business in all different ways. And it doesn't have to look the same. And I can still pour my heart into the business in different ways. And that
yeah,
my role there doesn't always have to look the same. And what
right.
I thought I would be doing doesn't have to look the same. So there's a lot more I could share on that. But I think I the first my gut instinct when you asked me that question is that I own the business and I can choose how it shows up in my life, right? That I could have been run over by it in the past year, right? The stress and the pressure of budgets and grants and layoffs and membership freezes and doors open and doors closed and everyone wanting to tell you what to do or not do. I mean, that can bulldoze somebody. Or you can decide, I love this business. I own the business. It doesn't own me. And I'm going to decide how I can best show up in this business in this past year.
Yeah, Trina, I think that's such a brilliant answer, right? And I'd love that you started off so powerfully with like, I own this business; it doesn't own me, and that is such an important lens to have when thinking about your business as a business owner, because often people think of it as like our baby, and I would give
Yeah.
my life for my baby, but it's not a baby. And I've used that analogy, right? It's not a human being, right? In fact, I don't know that it's a good thing to want to give your life to your business, right? And that what
I
I'm hearing
want
you,
my business to bring me life. I
yes,
want to serve my business, but I don't
yeah.
want it to own me. And so if you decide that you like that concept, you have to decide how you're going to show up differently because of it, which we can talk a little bit about. But that's what I'd
Yeah.
say in the past year. I decided not to let the business run me over.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think I've seen a lot of people that it has run over, right? So I think it's a really helpful way to think about it. So let's just take a few more minutes to talk about maybe this will be our first topic because I know being a working parent, being a working mom is tough. And one of the things I'm hearing you say that I'm going to guess you're good at is setting boundaries for yourself. Of setting boundaries for this is how I want people to interact with me. This is when I'm going to work, when I'm not going to work. This is when I'm available, when I'm not available. So just talk to me a little bit about how do you approach setting boundaries in your work life?
Yeah. Well, I laugh when you say that because, yes, ideally, you start the week and you start any day with some level of boundaries of here's how I talk about it, right? But I have to recognize that having boundaries also means having to be really flexible because no matter what kind of boundaries we set as a working parent or as a working mom myself, they're going to blur and things are going to cross over
Mhm.
and your time's going to get interrupted. And can you roll with that? Can you roll with that? Right? So when I choose to be a working mom and have chosen to work from home, that means that there's going to be some rub. There's going to be some time that things overlap, that I've got to get ready for a call and they have to be somewhere and lunch needs to be made, but I need to prep. I mean, there's got to be some give and take, right? So, one, setting boundaries, but also being flexible and knowing that at the end of the day, it's all going to work. It's all going to happen. I'm going to
Yeah.
show up. So here are some things that I specifically do. I talk a lot in my life about having different roles in life, different roles
Mhm.
meaning the different hats we wear, and making sure that we're not wearing too many because it can be very, very um, tempting as a working mom to also want to do all the other things. Now, in this past year with COVID, maybe so many of those hats aren't as available to you, but generally speaking, you want to be the team mom. You want to be involved in the school. You want to be involved in your community. You have all these volunteer things or different jobs you wear. You're a mother, a daughter, a partner, a wife, a friend, a colleague, a teammate. You're all these things. And when you're all these things, you're really you're doing nothing well. So I've worked so hard in the past, my daughter's gonna be 18, so the 18 years of being a working mom to have not only boundaries in my day, Michael, but boundaries in my life, knowing that I can have 5 or 6 really key roles. And
Mm.
sometimes that means that roles that might matter more to other people, I have to choose to be okay with I'm not everyone's friend, right? And I love having friends, but I find that my friends come through my business and they're people that I spend time with in another role already. There's just an example. I had to be okay in my community after a number of years of not being on the chamber board, not being on the dare board, not being on all the boards, but figuring out how I could still contribute to those causes, maybe as a speaker or as a donor through one of my businesses. So I had to minimize my roles in the past 18 years in order to show up better as a partner, as a mom, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, right? I just needed to minimize the roles in general. So that's like the bigger picture of this is to the working parents out there, trying to do it all does not make you a martyr. It really waters down your efforts. And so me being a parent in the stands, on the sidelines is great. I don't need to coach the team. I don't have to do the thing. I don't have to lead all the fundraisers. I can support in a way that fits my life as a working parent. That means finding creative ways to contribute. So for example, over the years, instead of coaching my kids' soccer when they were little, I realized after one season of doing that my life was turning into a mess. I was like, what else could I do? Could my business sponsor the team and pay for the shirts? Could I help with the banquet and free up kind of the daily time and just show up at the games? So fast forward to, having done this for 18 years, I have put boundaries on the roles I have in life. And in terms of daily life, I really do look at my calendar and designate out times. Michael, they're color coded based on the role in my life. So I started doing this 10 years ago. It has served me well. Blue is personal, red is health club, purple is kids. So I have it designated out where I can see during my day kind of where my time's going to go. And then at the end of the week, I can look and say, did I overall in the course of the week have a balanced week?
Sure.
There's going to be some days that I'm an awesome mom. And I'm not a great club owner. I didn't show up as much. There's going to be days where I just kick ass at my health club, but maybe didn't do as much as a partner or a mom. And over the course of the week, did it all work out? Right. So that's another tip. Reduce your roles in life. Look at your time in terms of your entire week. Maybe consider color coding your calendar based on those roles so you can make sure that nothing absolutely falls in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, that's so great. I love your color coded calendar. It's such a great idea, and it makes sense. I do a version of that myself, which is I have a different calendar and frankly different area on my to-do list for each kind of role that I have. So I feel you 100% there. Yeah, great. I also want to just highlight a few other things you said for our listeners and viewers here. That that you really believe you do need to have boundaries in your work and in your life. And what you really emphasize there, which I think is valuable, is and then be flexible. Know that you're not always going to get every boundary met every single time by every single person on every single day, and to build up the habit, the skill of being resilient and flexible and going with the punches. And I hear that so much as a valuable skill from parents, right? That there's so much about kids
because
and families
you can really
general.
waste so much time being upset that your schedule got changed, that someone has a doctor's appointment or someone now, in just this one given day, Michael, now we have a child that has a sore throat that needs a doctor's appointment. And now we have 2 parent meetings for 2 different basketball teams that we found out about this morning. So if I were that rigid and say, no, my calendar's done, I have no room, I'd spend so much time ruminating in what I can't control as opposed to being flexible to the situation and saying, how can I adjust? So boundaries, but willing to adjust. Letting people know what matters to you. The last point on this topic. Listen, as a working mom, I had to over the years, and not just a working mom, but really as an entrepreneur, it's different. When you're an entrepreneur, the work is never done. The work is never done. You're not going to just close up shop that day and say, yay, I'm all done. I'm all done. I'll see you tomorrow, office. It doesn't work that way.
Sure.
And so over the years, I had to be able to use my voice and speak up and say, hey, these businesses matter to me. They matter in our community. And I'm willing to show up for them, not at the sake of my kids, but for my kids, to show them that a working mom can love what she does, that you can make an impact and raise amazing human beings. And I don't know if your listeners or viewers have ever experienced this, but when my kids were younger, I certainly felt the pressure of other parents judging that I was working a lot, or I was traveling, or I was speaking, and who's with her kids and where is she, right? And I had to stay true to, I know I'm a great mom, and it's quality time with my kids. Not necessarily, I wasn't with them all the time. I was with them in quality ways, right? And I did quality things, and I do quality things with my kids, not perfectly, right? But being not bending to the pressure of, I had big dreams for my own life, Michael, and I felt like that was okay. I wore this tank top for you today. The idea that moms can also, parents can be dreamers too.
Yeah.
My community needed these health clubs. I believe my life, I have an online coaching team, and the hundreds of women who I worked with, I believe I'm valuable in their life too. And your value can be in society, in your community, and in your family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, Trina. I think that's really great. I think choosing carefully the hats you wear in your life, not holding on too closely to some sort of perfectionism about how you wear them, when you wear them, and all that, but focusing on the quality of your engagement, the quality of your contribution to your kids, to your community. And so much of what you've shared is about being creative in the way you contribute. Hey, I can't necessarily contribute in this way. I can't be on your board, but can I at least sponsor this? Or can I at least help with the banquet? And I think that kind of creative thinking, obviously, it probably makes you a great entrepreneur. But in this instant, also just makes you, a great problem solver, right? To be able to say, I'm going to wear these very specific hats. I'm going to edit them on a regular basis, so I'm not wearing too many because I want to feel good about the quality of work I'm doing. And that's a real skill. I think is really useful for all of our listeners to hear. Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit, because we can keep talking about this all day, and maybe next I'll have you back. We'll do that. But I want to talk a little bit about when, before the podcast, I asked all my guests, what are some things that you think you're good at, that you like talking about, topics that are fun for you. And one of the topics that you said you really like talking about is being able to make a plan B for your business. Be able to, know that the plan A is what's ideal, but plan B is what's going to happen if we need to pivot, plan A doesn't work out. I think this is just a smart way of thinking about planning for your business. So talk to me a little bit about, what role do plan Bs have in your planning for your business?
Well, first of all, I've really learned to embrace plan Bs. And I've decided that when you're forced to do something differently, you sometimes get more creative, you sometimes get more focused, and you sometimes find something better. And I'm not saying it's all easy, or the pivoting, changing is all glorious, but I have found a lot of positive outcomes from plan B. So let me give you some examples. In March of 2020, when we all got the phone call or the governor's announcement, whatever you heard, that fitness businesses were shutting down 5 o'clock that day. That's what it was in Michigan. Shut down at 5 o'clock that day. We, plan B, immediate. I knew that we had a class at 5:30. I knew people were planning on being there. I knew it mattered in their life. And especially in a day like today, where the world is going to feel upside down, that class was going to matter even more. So we immediately, without overthinking, without worrying that what if it works? What if it doesn't work? What if we can't maintain it? I just decided that I was going to show up virtually for that class, and that people were going to be okay. We're going to figure it out. And so we immediately put our Zoom line out to all of our members. And I got a headset. I got my laptop. I found a way to play some music next to it. And I got on. And starting that day, Michael, from there through the next 6 weeks and then months after that, being open and closed, at one point we were averaging 800 check-ins per week in our virtual classes in a small town in northern Michigan.
Wow.
We showed up when people needed us because I was willing to make a plan B, and I was willing to communicate the plan B to my team and to members as if it were a plan A.
Sure.
And that's it. It's getting behind it enough that it doesn't feel like you're the sore loser. It doesn't feel like second place. It doesn't feel like, oh, we have to just do this. Plan B became plan A. Hey, guess what? We can't be open. And we get to see you virtual at home in your living room. We're going to be here until the world allows us to be back together. So fast forward a year, that plan B has become our plan A. My clubs are reopened, but more people show up virtually than live. I taught a class on Saturday morning, just to put this in perspective. I've taught a Saturday morning strength training class in my health club since we've been open, 15 years. I've missed a handful over the years for kids sports. I've taught basically every Saturday of my life for 15 years. This past Saturday, I went and taught. We're open, we're live. 15 people were in my class, 30 were at home in their living rooms.
Yep.
Because our plan B became our plan A. Can I give you one other example of one, or would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, go for it. No, I was just going to say, I love the fact that the two things you pointed out is one is that plan Bs force you to be creative. They force you to be innovative. They force you to challenge assumptions. They force you, to really think on your feet often. And I also love what you're saying here is that plan Bs will often become the plan As. And certainly during COVID, that's been the case for many of us. This thing that we thought we could never figure out, maybe just be temporary, maybe that no one would like it, that you were able to sell as if it was a plan A, and it's kind of become that. And that's also the reason I'm also kind of chuckling about it is that's exactly what happened at MFF as well. At Mark Fisher Fitness, we pivoted online immediately that week, and it has become, basically a brand new business that I don't think is going away anytime soon. And so
it's not.
Same.
Yeah. You guys are innovative and creative as well. And Mark, you guys are great entrepreneurs. And so of course, I'm not surprised that you had that experience, but a lot of entrepreneurs, people in or outside the fitness industry struggle to tune in to their own just gut and say, I'm going to do this and it's going to be okay. Yeah. And being able to make the decision and communicate the decision as if you own the decision. I got on live on Facebook that day, the next day actually, and talked to our members calmly and confidently and said, as you heard in our governor's mandate, this is our current state of affairs. We're here for you. We're ready. This is our Zoom line. This is the password. This is where we'll be. For those of you that need equipment, we're doing checkouts of our equipment. We checked out every dumbbell, every step bench, every band. We even let some people come check out our benches, our bars. Like we basically checked out the whole gym because we just decided that was the plan B that would serve people the most and didn't overthink it. And so it's one, making the decision, not overthinking it, making it in a timely manner and communicating it with confidence and communicating it as if that this is going to be okay. This is meant to be our next step. So there's a lot to that. And I know that served me as a leader to be able to do that. Another example of a plan B, I also run an online coaching team, right? So I've been with a company called Team Beachbody for years and years, 12 years. And we were supposed to have a huge conference both in July and in October. And this is where all of our coaches from around the country get together for learning and for friendship and camaraderie. And it's a big deal. Michael, I've hosted them for close to 10 years. It's a big deal. As you know, we kept waiting. Oh, we'll be better by July. Oh, we'll be better by October. And I had to just make the decision that these conferences weren't going to happen. It wasn't safe. It wasn't appropriate. And so to move an entire conference online, the plan B became the plan A, and I communicated it the same way. Hey, this is going to be even better. You won't need to travel. You'll be able to plug in from home. You'll be able to immediately implement some of the ideas because you won't spend time in transit. You'll be able to get in on a session, hear from speakers around the country, and then have work time. We're still going to do a toast and have a social outing. And I went out on my pontoon boat with some champagne and got online and toasted to all my coaches and talked to everybody. And we still worked out together. We got on a Zoom line and did workouts together. So it was a matter of like tapping into your creativity, pivoting with a plan B, making it a plan A, and then saying, hey, this isn't actually such a bad thing, right? It's fun to travel. But it's also not always convenient with families and everything else to travel. Could a conference be virtual and be effective in a different way? And it forced me to take a look at what I do going into 2021 and beyond and say, now that I know things can look different and it can still be effective, would I do things differently? So 2 different examples of a health club pivoting, my coaching online business, pivoting with events, and just being able to serve people in new ways and say, I don't even know that I would have tried this had I not been forced to.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great example. Thank you so much for sharing that one. I think that it's a really good one for people to hear. And one of the things I'm hearing that you seem to be doing really well in these examples is one, communicating with confidence. Like you said, really selling the idea as if it's your favorite, best idea, as if this was your first choice, right? Which takes a lot of confidence, takes a lot of experience. And I think that that goes kind of hand in hand with being willing to knowing that not everyone's going to buy into it, being willing to take the risk and just go all in and say, I'm going to sell this and make it clear why we're doing this. I'm going to make it clear why I think it's a great idea. And I'm going to do it with 100% confidence because I know that even if people don't like this direction, I know it's best, so I'm going to sell it no matter what. That's where I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting hung up, is they
Oh
don't
yeah.
sell it with that 100% confidence. They're constantly hedging their bets or on their heels, just knowing that there's going to be that 1 to 5% that are going to complain about it or not want to
Yeah.
participate because it's different. And I think your approach is so useful for them to hear, which is like, no, if you're wishy-washy about it, they're going to feel wishy-washy about it. If you don't explain your thinking about why this is a good direction, then they'll have even more ammunition for complaining about it. And so let me just ask you this: if for people listening who are like, yeah, I want to be more like Trina, like I want to be able to be confident in my decision, sell the shit out of it, even though I know not everyone's going to love it. Where do they start? Where does someone start to kind of build that muscle in themselves?
Yeah, honestly, Michael, my gut instinct answer is your own personal development.
Mm,
That what kinds of podcasts like this, I can suggest a couple books and podcasts that I've listened to over the years that have helped me build my own confidence muscle.
mm,
People who believe in themselves can communicate more effectively because we're not so worried all the time about how the communication is received. That doesn't mean I don't want to communicate with love and compassion and empathy. I
yep.
mean that even when I communicate with love, compassion, empathy, and decisiveness, there will always be the naysayers and the critics. So, how do you build yourself up, build your armor up enough, build your belief in yourself up enough that that doesn't affect you? That's honestly my answer is, a couple podcasts that I like that might serve your audience. There's a
Yeah.
podcast called The Life Coach School. The Life Coach School. Her name is Brooke Castillo. I have
I
found
listened to that one too. Yeah.
that too. Okay, I
Yeah.
found that to be very valuable over the years to not let outside opinion or other people's views affect who I am and how I show up in the world. There's so many amazing books that I've read over the years, and I don't know. I'll just name a few. There's a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle that really helps you
Mhm.
have your voice in the world. There's a book called Limitless by my friend Laura Otting. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy helps you understand business more, just helps you feel more confident. Um, there's, I think, building up your own self-esteem. Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo, a great entrepreneur. Things like that just give you confidence in yourself. You're a Badass is a classic book that helps build confidence. That's what I'd say is you have to believe in yourself enough that you're okay putting your message out to the world, no matter how it's received.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I love that. And we'll include links to those books down below in the show notes so people can go and just
Thank
go
you.
get them because there's lots of great tips in there. And I think you're right that so much of this it leads back to just self-worth and confidence. And I'll even take this further. I'll yes and you and say yes, all of those things. And I think one place people can start is getting confident about explaining your thinking. Right, because I think that's one
Oh,
of the things
good
that
idea.
I heard you do that in your explanation of why you were doing these plan Bs, and it came so natural to you that I don't even know that you would think that's what you were doing. But you're explaining to people, here's why I think this is great. Let me explain to you my inner dialogue about why we're going this direction, why I think it's great for you, why I think it's great for me. All the amazing things that come of this, and making your thinking transparent in a really confident way. I think is just one of the definitions of leadership, right?
Okay, that's
It's,
good.
yeah.
So now that you point that out, yes, I think if people want a tangible takeaway of a couple things that would help you communicate better, let's say you've worked on belief in self, or you're actively working on that. When I communicate, I like to tell people where we're going. Right. So if I
Yeah.
tell people where we're going, that naturally, includes what I'm thinking. If I tell people where we're going, they're willing to go there with me, even if the journey looks a little different. So in the example of my health club, hey, we're closing, we're virtual, we're keeping our membership prices the same because we're still serving you, right? Being able
Yep.
to say, this is why. I told my members, we're keeping your membership prices the same and we're serving you at home because we want to reopen for you, because we want to be here when we get the green light to reopen. We need your loyalty. We need you right now. I was honest and transparent. Those are also good things in communicating a plan B. Honesty and transparency. I didn't pretend that people are going to get huge discounts and that we were somehow going to magically reopen with no income, right? I told our members, we've been here for 14 years. I want to be here 14 more. I need to keep your membership dollars the same. If it's at all possible for you to stay loyal and stay with us, you need us and we need you. So communicating directly with authenticity, with transparency, with honesty, I think built trust. Letting them know I was worried that we wouldn't be able to reopen if we didn't retain members. And I promised them that we were going to show up if they would show up. And also coming up with kind of like a tagline or something that people can hold on to, right? Not like a politician, but maybe it's something that people could hold on to. So I kept saying to them, we're going to stay distant, but stay connected. And I kept telling them, hey, I know that we're distant or we're going to stay virtual, but we're going to stay connected. And I'd say, you need us right now, but we also need you right now. And so those kind of common mantras I use throughout the pandemic to communicate with our members.
Yeah, I think it's really smart. I mean, there's a reason that those kind of tactics are used in politics, is because that kind of repetition works. That kind of repetition, people understand, here's how Trina's thinking about this. Here's her strategy. Here's her plan. So I think the two things that stood out to me, what you shared there, was that the vision, right? That part of what you're doing here is painting a picture for people about here's where we're going together. And how we get there might change and a little bumpy at certain times, but here's the vision of where we're going. And I also love that you mentioned kind of that transparency and vulnerability of also sharing that, like, I might not have all the answers. I might not know every single step in this moment. I'm only human like the rest of you, and still we're going over here.
Yeah.
I can be clear on the vision, unclear about the steps, and vulnerable enough to know that I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to be confident about what I do know today and point us in the right direction and reinforce that with messages you can repeat yourself with over and over again. I think that those are such great tips for our listeners. I think that's so smart.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. Maybe final topic. We have a few minutes to talk about this. It's connected to this. So maybe I'll make it relate. Is that what happens when even your plan B goes wrong? Right? Because we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make the wrong choice. We're going to communicate something well, but it's the wrong thing. We're going to take people in a direction and then change our minds and pivot and go back the exact opposite direction. I know moving through this kind of adversity is something you like talking about. I'm sure you have lots of great tips here. So what do you do? What's your general approach to when you got it wrong? So when you got it wrong, how do you handle that? How do you navigate communicating that and adjusting?
Yeah, it's a great topic and one that will require me to be vulnerable and transparent. So adversity is a part of life, obviously, but it's definitely a part of business and being an entrepreneur. And even more so in the past year, when the people you are communicating with also are dealing with a lot of extra. And I found, and I can give a recent example of this just from a couple of weeks ago, Michael, of where I went wrong, how I picked myself back up, dusted off, and regrouped. And it wasn't pretty and it wasn't fun, but the outcome was good. So let me just give an example, and I think it can show your listeners and viewers what I mean. As we're entrepreneurs and we're making decisions, we don't always make them from the greatest space. So one day I was making a decision in a management meeting, a team meeting, and I wasn't in the best headspace. And I was bringing other emotion to the table with me. I was bringing the stress of I had to lay off an employee to keep our doors open. I had to bring on somebody new part-time at a lower rate that the club could afford. And it was just like a mess, really, of personalities, of communication, of crossover, of change. And sometimes we rise to the occasion and sometimes we don't. And I felt like I had risen to the occasion of redoing the team, of saying, we need to let this person who is valuable go. I needed to bring this person on. I needed to change this. I put my energy, my gut, my passion, my love, my expertise into the changes. And Michael, I had nothing left for the implementation.
Mm.
I was depleted. I was frustrated, and I brought that to my team meetings. And I would say that my team is not used to seeing me in that way, more edgy, not as pleasant. And in my mind, I was being, I was just looking at it from my perspective of, you have no idea what I just walked through to get here, or what I've had to do to redo this team over the holidays, in a pandemic, like on New Year's Eve, on New Year's Day, like it was a lot. And sometimes what we think is a lot, we need to keep to ourselves and still show up as a leader. And I was really struggling to show up as a leader in this weak moment of time. And so I kind of fell apart for a day or two, to be honest. And sometimes leaders, you got to feel your feelings. And I got to say, maybe that's not what you were looking for me, but I had to feel my feelings. I did. I had to kind of go to that place of feeling like a bit broken and a bit overwhelmed and say, I've been holding it together. I've been having the club and my team and the members on my shoulders. And you know what? I need to set you down for a couple days. I set them down for a couple days. I went to bed at 6 p.m. one night for the first time since probably I was in high school, right? I went for some long walks. I did some thinking. I talked to some teammates. I cried. And then you know what I did? I regrouped and I sat down at my desk and I decided, what can I do to show up as a better leader right now, this week, not in the future, not like right now, this week, what can I do? And I sat down at my desk. I'm looking to see if I have it right here in my notes. And I decided to redo the format of my team meetings so that I wouldn't have to be in charge of the team meetings. And I created this format where we now sit down at a team meeting and we talk about what's pressing. We talk about people's ideas. We talk about a win from their week, and we talk about where they might need help. Okay. And so instead of me leading the meeting, it is a leader run meeting, and I'm a participant, and I'm maybe the puppet master that's keeping it going, or the moderator keeping it going. But it took the pressure off of me to lead, to strategize, to be the one in front, and decided, I'm going to sit in a circle. At this point in my life, what I have right now is I'm going to sit in a circle with you and I will moderate the discussion, but I would like you to come with strategy. I would like you to come with ideas. I'd like you to come with where you need help. I want you to help. I need you to help me keep it positive by bringing your wins to the table. In one meeting, in 1 week, we completely turned it around. I now start my meetings. This just started 2 weeks ago. I now start my meetings with personal development. So I brought a lesson of my own last week, and I brought a lesson from the book Untamed the week before. So I start our meeting on an elevated note, out of the weeds, out of the trenches, an elevated note. We work on the person and not just the business. So we start with personal development, and then I created this new format for our meetings. I would never have done it had I not gone to a bad place, had I not shown up as a crappy version of myself in a meeting and had to dig myself out. So that's adversity. Adversity is owning it. Adversity is feeling it. Adversity is being willing to admit that I'm struggling right now, and I'm not going to stay in this struggle. I'm going to move through this struggle, but I better come up with something. And I better be honest with them and say, I'm struggling right now, but I'm going to come to you better. And I did. 1 week later, I came to them better, and I created and I innovated and I sat in a circle with them and brought some new things to light that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it's such a beautiful example of knowing that, like, hey, things were not going well. I was definitely struggling. But the main thing that I want to underline for our viewers, the first thing it sounded like you did was to own your feelings, was to own the fact that you were feeling some crappy way about some of the things that were going on. And I think that's such a huge first step, because that's not the first step I see most people take. When they're feeling some kind of way, it's often turning to blame or excuses or anger or anything. I'm sure you felt many of those things, right? But the overwhelming one that you grabbed onto, it sounds like, was just owning your feelings, giving yourself time to feel your feels, and then pivoting to, where's the opportunity here? Where's the opportunity for me to innovate and make a change so that it's less likely this thing will happen again, or that I can make me more likely for me to show up differently for my team in the future. And I think that combination of acknowledging and owning your feelings, dealing with it, taking time to feel them, feeling your feels, and then asking yourself, like, what's the opportunity here? Where can I create something new that makes this easier, better, faster, whatever the case may be? So what a great example Bravo to you.
Thank you. I did
Yeah.
find the sheet that I made too. And it's just
Funny.
simple. What are their pressing questions? What are their ideas? What's going
Yep.
well? Where do you need support? One simple
That's
document with some new thinking behind it.
great.
Being willing to have some hard conversations with people and say, I'm not feeling my best and here's why, and not sweep it under the rug, because it's easier to sweep adversity under the rug and it never goes away unless you address it. I now feel like any bad feelings or hard feelings that we had as a team or as a business, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we sweep it under the rug. So in your business, in your life, when you just ignore the problem or put it under the rug, it doesn't go away. When you address it, feel it, I'm so much more able, and my team is much more able to move on because it's been addressed and we don't pretend.
Yeah, that's it. I think you're right. Whenever there's an issue, it makes so much more sense. You're better off in the long run by shining a light on it instead of sweeping under the rug. And so it sounds like you all did that there, which is fantastic. And also, it's a really great example. The two things I think of when I work with a lot of our business unicorns clients who are entrepreneurs, and whenever we're diagnosing a problem, it's almost always the problem is people or process, and the solution is almost always people or process. And this is a perfect example of that. You've had this people problem of managing your staff, which led to you not feeling so great, which led to you showing up ways for your team that weren't so great. And part of the solution was just a new process that supported you. And it was a very simple 1-page 4-step team meeting that really helped support you out of that challenge. And I think it's just a really interesting interplay between people and process in our business, and what a great example.
Yeah. And things often come to a head when there is a lot of change. And I think that I managed the change for a year, and sometimes it felt like a tornado. Just being willing to hit the pause button in life, which entrepreneurs don't very often. Hit the pause button before you fall apart, before you get sick, or before whatever. Just hit the pause button. Go for a walk. Go to bed early. Take a nap. Wake up feeling refreshed, and tell yourself, it might sound simple, but man, it really helped me just take a step away to come back stronger.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's nothing simple about it. It takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of confidence to be able to recognize in yourself what your feelings are, have the self-awareness to deal with them and address them, to step away when you need to, and then to really innovate and come back stronger in your words. I think it's a easy thing to say and kind of a hard thing to do for most people. Yeah, This is amazing. I want to be conscious of our time and start to wrap things up. So let's do this. Let's move on to our final 5 questions. These are 5 questions that I asked everyone on the podcast. I switched them up this year. And there's just 5 things about you being an entrepreneur and a business owner. They're kind of intended to be somewhat rapid fire, but feel free to elaborate. You don't have to do it quickly. If you have a longer answer, an anecdote, just do you.
Okay.
Ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. Question number 1, Trina, is one thing you love about being a gym owner?
Oh, transformations. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be on 60 Minutes. I found myself in fitness in such a weird way. And I still get to tell people stories. I didn't know how I was going to tell stories in my life, but I tell stories through fitness transformation. I love the fact that people can come there and go home a better parent, a better spouse, a better significant other, a better woman, a better man. They go to work the next day with more energy, more ideas, more confidence. I love the transformation that happens in a gym, more so than the physical transformation. My background is not exercise science and exercise physiology. I, of course, love movement, personal trainer, group fitness instructor, but truly, if you ask me what I love most, I love the transformation that people go through and become a better version of themselves. And I love that we have a place that does that.
Yeah, beautiful answer. I love that. Amazing. Question number 2. We often talk on this podcast about customer service and over-delivering for clients and creating a great client experience. This question is, what is one of the coolest or most memorable things you've done for a client? Something cool or memorable that you've done for a client? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say the coolest thing that we do at my club for clients, I'm so glad you asked, is we host an annual gala. This year, it was virtual, another plan B that became the plan A. But we collect transformation stories all year, and we shine a light on one client a week. Right now, in these times, we're doing one client a month just to keep our heads above water. But it has been one client a week for years. And at the end of the year, we collect all of those stories, and we invite them all to a gala, like like a wedding, really. And they get to bring friends and family. And this is someone who is either like a heavy machine operator or a teacher or a professor or a nurse or a doctor, like all different walks of life, all different professions or stay-at-home parents. And we put them on a stage and I interview them with a microphone and I let them have their fame for the transformation that they did, whether it was getting off medication or losing weight or in all the different things that happen in people's lives, right? Through fitness. So this annual gala, it's called a Fitness Inspired Gala. We've done it every year for 14 years, including in a pandemic year. And it's the coolest thing we do because we shine a light on people who showed up for themselves and became better versions of themselves. And that gift, I think, lasts a lifetime. I hear from people who I interviewed years ago about how that moment in time, how being on a stage, nervous, but in front of their peers and family and being recognized for something as an adult is really so rare and loving. So that's one thing that we do that's really cool.
Yeah, beautiful. That's an amazing example. It's an amazing example. And what I love about that is that, one of the things I really believe is that real behavior change is identity change. And so while we might be helping people change little behaviors here and there throughout their lives, when you can help them see themselves differently, and a moment like that does that. Going on a stage and talking about myself as someone who is now a stronger person, has now someone who's a healthier person, it really represents a change in their identity. And so it's such a beautiful ceremony. What a great idea. I love that.
Thank you.
Cool. Question number 3. This is about your team. When someone on your team does this thing, it makes you super happy. So when you see someone on your team do this thing, it makes you super happy. What do they do that really lights you up?
Yeah. When my team shows gratitude for another teammate, when my team shows gratitude for the cool place that we work. I think, Michael, I have a tattoo that says live grateful, and I mean it and I live it. I try to show gratitude for people in my life in lots of different ways, not always perfectly, but I really try to live that way. When a teammate shows gratitude for another, thanks another person for covering a class or coming in early or making their job easier or better, or the fact that we have a cool workplace that's very conducive to working parents, showing gratitude for each other goes a long way with me.
Amazing. Beautiful. Question number 4, this is about marketing. What's your most reliable strategy for generating leads? So if you need to go generate some leads tomorrow and get some fresh people in the door, where do you turn to?
Yeah, great. Our stories are our biggest lead generators. And so when we feature our clients and we share those client stories, either on social media, in our email list, and e-blast, even honestly featuring clients in our actual physical space, right? What that does is people see, oh, I have somebody like that in my life, or I am somebody like that. So our biggest lead generators are showing client success stories and testimonials and getting them out there in all different ways. Of course, social media, of course, in our email blast or newsletter, and even in person in the gym. So client stories, any way you can dice them up and get them out there, those are our biggest lead generators. Before COVID, when we were running small camps, and when we get back to that, another great lead generator for us were 10-day experiences at my club. We called them 10-day adventure boot camps. We did 10-day experiences, excursions, 10-day special events at my club to let people come try us on for size, try out our space, try out our mood, try out our vibe, try out our fitness. And those 10-day camps were one of my biggest lead generators as well.
Yeah, great answers. I love that. I hope listeners and viewers are taking notes. Those are really great ideas. Yeah. Last but not least here, what is one thing you think gym owners can start doing better tomorrow? So if you wanted to see across the industry, gym owners just really getting better at this thing starting tomorrow, what would it be?
That's such a great question. I mean, I'm coming from the place of where I am right now that I'm not looking back anymore. I'm not looking back to what we were good at or what my gym used to look like, or I'm not going to pine for the glory days, to be honest. My honest answer is I need to only look ahead and think, what is my gym supposed to, what's my 2.0? And my 2.0 at my gym, to be honest, is simplification. And maybe this is what other owners need to hear. We used to run corporate fit challenges, 10-day boot camps, 21-day slim downs, personal training, small group training, group fitness classes, indoor, outdoor. We did all these things. And when we were forced to simplify, one, because I had to simplify my team and I had to simplify my offerings because we couldn't share equipment and get in big groups and all these things, the power of simplicity and the power of only looking forward. In the future, I want to do fewer things better. And that means that we're not going to do everything we used to do. But taking on virtual fitness has been huge for us. And I'm going to hold on to it and get better. Keep improving our space, improving our camera, improving our headsets, improving our studio, improving the quality, improving our uploads, and improving our viewers, improving the experience. I'm going to focus on group fitness. I'm going to focus on virtual fitness. And then as a gym, we also have people come and doing their own workouts. I'm going to focus on making sure we know every person, we know their story, we know how we can best serve them so we can keep them, because they can work out at home. They know they can put a gym in their basement. I need to make sure that we have a personal connection with them and a reason for them to continue coming in the future. The other thing I'm doing is really specializing and deciding, what are we uniquely good at? We're good at boxing. We're good at cycling. We're good at women's strength training. Those are just random things that your viewers might not be good at, but they're good at something. I'm holding onto the things that we're uniquely good at, and I'm letting go of a lot. I made a list 2 weeks ago, Michael, of a keep and get rid of list. The keep list was pretty damn short. And the get rid of list was really long. And we're talking about member communication, member appointments, personal training. Like my get rid of list, it was very long. And I decided I need to simplify. I need to find my 2.0. I know that I need to make room for virtual to thrive. And so I've got to cut some things that we used to be great at. But you know what? I used to be great at swimming and basketball. And now I'm in my 40s and I'm not anymore. And that's okay. Right? Like we don't always have to carry every trophy with us. So that's what I'd say, simplifying and looking forward.
Yeah, I love this answer so much, Trina. It's so smart, right? And I think so many people really, I think you're right, can get better tomorrow by starting to do those two things. Really be forward looking, not pining about the past, not carrying all your trophies. That's a great analogy, right? And simplify, simplify, simplify. So many people have been spread so thin, and this is true for us at MFF as well, that I think that's a really great way to think about it. And just doing less but better. When you said that, it made me think of the book Essentialism. I don't know if you know Essentialism. I think the tagline is the disciplined pursuit of less. It's by Greg McKeown. And it's a great book about essentialism. And it's literally about that. It's about how do you say no to everything unless it's a heck yes. And in these moments when we've had to pare back to do the bare minimum and survive through this pandemic, we've had to edit. And so, now that we're at this edited moment, we have to be really careful what we put back on our plate. And I love that.
Great opportunity. Which is
such a great opportunity.
This gift actually of not having to over-explain why we're changing what we're changing. Right? You kind of have this narrow window of being able to change what you want to change and being able to be disciplined about it and say, So I feel like we know what we're good at, and I'm okay not carrying everything with me. There's a famous quote from, I think it's Stephen King, the author, who says, you have to kill your darlings. Like the things that you love that you think are really like you've got to keep, often those are the things you need to get rid of, that you have like some emotional connection to something that isn't serving your business anymore. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
That was amazing. Great final 5 questions. So much value. And, I just love so much about what you share. You share with passion and candor and transparency. And so thank you for being such a great guest today. As we wrap things up here, where can people find you online, find your businesses online? I know you also do business coaching. So where can they get more, Trina?
I mean, thank you for saying that. Honestly, find me in my DMs. It's so much easier to connect on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram at Trina Gray, Gray. I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes. I have a website. My coaching website for my Beachbody coaching team is teamrockstarfit.com. teamrockstarfit.com. You can do a free call with me, a 25-minute call to see if online coaching is a good fit for you. And lastly, if you just want to follow my health club and get ideas from us or check out our marketing, we're good at it. We've been doing it for a long time. Free ideas, take them anytime you want. My health club website is bayathleticlub.com. I think we're solid, and our Facebook is Bay Athletic Club. So if you want some ideas on what my club is doing these days, feel free to go there. If you want to communicate with me personally, teamrockstarfit.com to schedule a call with me, or on Instagram at Trina Gray. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing those. We'll definitely put them in the show notes below. And thank you for your time. I know we're pressing up on an hour. We just had so much to talk about. And so thank you. Thank you for going a little longer.
Host. I love your
Yeah.
follow-up questions. I love how much you listen to your guests and are able to like mine the lessons from what we say. You're a really great host.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Well, we'll do
Take
this
care.
again sometime, I'm sure. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Hey, friends, before you go, just one more thing. If you enjoy this podcast, you get value out of it, you enjoy listening, please share this podcast, comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Please share it with friends and family. We don't spend any money on marketing or advertising. And so the only way people find out about this podcast is from you. So please do everything you can to share it with friends and fellow colleagues in the fitness industry. We love making it and we want to keep doing it for a long, long time. So I appreciate your support. Go have a kick-ass day. Bye.